Hi there and welcome to my October wrap, in which I reflect on both the quality and the quantity of the books I read in the past month. Now, in terms of numbers, I finished 5 books this month and 4 of them I featured on the channel, 3 in reviews and 1 in a reaction video. So the first book I reviewed was Gaston Leroux's The Phantom of the Opera. This was so exciting. It was full of invention, full of passion. Perhaps not the most finely written book you'll ever pick up, but nevertheless a great joy to read. Next was Rex Warner's The Aerodrome. This was a very strange book. It combined aspects of the 18th, 19th and 20th century novel into a surreal and very darkly humorous novel. I strongly recommend this one. Third, the selected short stories of Guy de Maupassant. Despite the diversity of themes tackled in these stories, they all shared the common feature of being brilliantly constructed. I really did enjoy these too. Lastly, the reaction video was to Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. I could not really do a review. What is the point when everyone knows this story so well? It was an amazing read, one I wouldn't wish to repeat actually. It was so emotionally draining, but nevertheless, my book of the month for October is Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. Now, there was a book I read that didn't make the cut, and that is I Have the Right to Destroy Myself by Young-ha Kim, a South Korean writer. I've been trying to feature more fiction from Southeast Asia on the channel, and it would have been great if this was a good novel. However, it was absolutely dire, and it did one thing that I particularly dislike. It did not have a frame, so when you open it up, it just starts addressing you. It just starts like this: I'm looking at a picture. Well, who are you? Are you not going to say? Am I going to have to be mystified by who I might be and read how many pages to find out? In this case, almost the whole novel to find out. So I found that very off-putting. I also began but did not finish the historical novel I mentioned in one of my book hauls. That was The Canterbury Papers by Judith Koll Healey. It said it was meticulously researched. However, on about the 7th page, I found it using the phrase carrot and stick, which was only first used in 1948. And this is a novel set in the 12th century, so I didn't find that too amusing, and so I put it down at that point. It wasn't a very interesting story anyway, but that was just a way of clinching the deal that this was not for me. Now, there are 3 books I was reading in October that I haven't finished yet, and I will review for the channel, and they are Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott, which is just so enjoyable. It's got Robin Hood in there, it's got Richard the Lionheart. It's all set in the Midlands where I grew up and in parts of Yorkshire that I visited, so that will definitely get a review. Then there was another Bronte novel, and this is Anne Bronte's The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. I'm about halfway through it. Anyone familiar with this novel will understand that the first part, where the tenant is slowly engaging in a kind of love affair with a local farmer, is really enjoyable. But then we get into this journal sequence about her prior marriage and the courtship that led up to that marriage, and this is about 200 pages long and extremely difficult to make one's way through, so I've just paused that one. And then the third thing is the Norton Anthology of the Middle Ages. Yes, why am I reading this, Jason? Well, that's because of my going back to study in the spring, and so I want to get through what the undergraduates would have read here in Taiwan, so that I am abreast of everything that they've been learning. However, even though there are thousands of pages of this material to get through, it's far from an onerous task. I've really been enjoying some of this material, particularly the Lays of Marie de France. These are 12th century narrative poems of courtly love, and they feature King Arthur and his knights, for example, so I may talk about those on the channel and see what my viewers make of them. So there you have it. That was my October. It was slightly derailed by illness in the last week, but on the whole, it was a pretty good reading month. What did you read? What was the best book you read during this month? Please feel free to tell me in the comments below, and I hope that all of us are going to have an amazing November. I realize there's this non-fiction aspect to it. I'll address that in my TBR video, which will be along in a few days. But until then, I should just repeat my mantra and depart. Be safe, be strong, and until the next time, Nanu Nanu.